You want to know my honest opinion? I'll give you my honest opinion. I think Anthony Joshua is going to KO Andy Ruiz. I think Andy Ruiz is tailor made for Anthony Joshua. Uh, you know, I just think he's tailor made for somebody like Anthony Joshua. He's not. I know Eddie Hearn came out and he said short guys like Carlos Takam and Alexander Povetkin gave Anthony Joshua some trouble, but Andy Ruiz does not fight like them. When it came to Povetkin, he was kind of fighting the counterpuncher style. Like he was actually trying to counterpunch Anthony Joshua. And Andy Ruiz does not fight like that. Even though he was short like Andy Ruiz, you don't see Andy Ruiz trying to counterpunch dudes. Carlos Takam was really staying on the outside. And Carlos Takam is one of those guys that he has a kind of awkward style, awkward defense. He knows how to cover up. That's why he was able to go several rounds with someone like Alexander Povetkin. That's why he was able to go several rounds with, Anthony Joshua. He's good at covering up. When it comes to Andy Ruiz, he's a lot more hittable. He likes to apply pressure. And if he does what I want him or I think he should do against Anthony Joshua, because I think that's his only chance of winning against Anthony Joshua, is going on the inside. This is how I look at it. I think he's actually screwed either way. I think if he stayed on the outside against Anthony Joshua, Joshua would just take him apart. He would just take him apart because he would not be able to land any hooks against him. So he could just literally take him apart from the outside with his jab, with his combinations. But I think even if Andy Ruiz came on the inside, he's also fucked. He's also, fucked basically because Joshua will be, unless he tries to push him back, unless like he literally tries to push him back, but let's say he just stays toe to toe with him in the inside. Joshua is a massive puncher, and he's the biggest puncher, the most devastating puncher Andy Ruiz has ever faced. Okay, he's no Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker, I'm telling you right now, hits nowhere near as hard as Anthony Joshua. Parker was always a decent puncher when he was fighting low quality guys. But you guys notice the minute Parker started fighting top contenders, it's almost like his punching power just evaporated, right? Parker was never a big puncher when it came to fighting the top of the line, the creme of heavyweights. But but when it comes to Joshua, he has that power. When he started fighting the creme of heavyweights, he was still knocking them out. So that just goes to show me that Joshua hits way harder than Joseph Parker. Okay, so he's gonna have to see if he could withstand Joshua's punches when they're on the inside. And I just personally don't think he can. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think he can. Although he's never been knocked out. Dominic Brazil was never knocked out. Alexander Povetkin was never knocked out. Right? Vladimir Klitschko had not been knocked out in like 13 years when he got knocked out against Joshua. Just because a guy doesn't have a history of being knocked out or hasn't been knocked out for several years. Dillian White was never knocked out against Anthony Joshua, before he fought Anthony Joshua. So just because a guy, because that's why I keep seeing people say, well, no one's ever knocked out Andy Ruiz. Again, just because a guy has never been knocked out does not mean they cannot be knocked out, or they can't be knocked out. Again, Povetkin, Brazil, White, all those guys were never knocked out as pros. And you saw what happened when they fought Anthony Joshua. If you keep getting hit consistently against a big puncher who's throwing punches with mean intentions, you will get knocked out. And this is what I believe will happen to Andy Ruiz. I see this fight going no more than 8 rounds. That's how I see it. I don't think that Andy Ruiz will be able to take Joshua's best punches for 10 rounds. The only way I see this fight going the distance would be if Anthony Joshua did a 180. Would be if Anthony Joshua did what Lennox Lewis did against David Tua. If Anthony Joshua decided to play the boxer. Because Anthony Joshua has a much longer reach than Andy Ruiz. So if he really wanted to, he could play the boxer. He could try and outbox Andy Ruiz and make the fight a stinker and let it go 12 rounds. That would be the only way I could see Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz going. That would be the only way I could see Andy Ruiz going the distance, because that would mean that Anthony Joshua played it safe. If he decided to fight that style, right, that would just mean he was playing it safe. But I just don't think he's gonna fight that way. One, he's making his America debut. He wants to leave a good impression on the American boxing fans, right? And going the distance, American boxing fans don't like distance fights. Have you seen the American crowd when the fights go the distance and a fighter's on the back foot? The American boxing crowd, boxing fans, they boo that. They go boo because it's boring. American boxing fans don't like fighters who box like that, who try to go the distance, safety first. That's why they boo them. They like excitement. They like motherfuckers trying to knock each other's heads off, guys being aggressive, guys going for the KO. So, and I think Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn understand this. So I do think that Anthony Joshua wants to leave a good impression on the American boxing fans. So therefore, I don't think he's gonna try and fight a safety first fight. I think he's gonna go. I think he's going to be aggressive the way he was aggressive. I want to see Anthony Joshua fight the way he fought Vladimir Klitschko. Like, he was hella aggressive in that fight with Vladimir Klitschko. I think against Alexander Povetkin, he was kind of being passive, at least in the first couple of rounds against Povetkin. He was being a little too passive for my liking. But once he started getting aggressive, then he got rid of Alexander Povetkin. But I want him to fight the way he fought Klitschko, very aggressive. And I think it's going to be a thing where Andy Ruiz has never faced, first of all, somebody in the talent of Anthony Joshua, A, B, who is as a devastating puncher as Anthony Joshua. It might be a case where this might be like a man versus a boy, because again, Anthony Joshua is so much bigger than Andy Ruiz Jr. And this might be a case where this fight might just be exciting for as long as it lasts. And you know what? I'm all for it. You know what? I think this fight, especially if Anthony Joshua comes and fights the way he normally does, trying to KO his opponent, and if Andy Ruiz doesn't fight a negative fight and he decides to stay in the pocket and fight with Anthony Joshua, we might be looking at a very exciting short fight. Fireworks for like 2-3 rounds, and then bam, Joshua catches him with a really good punch that knocks him out. But I don't see this. I know a lot of people are giving Andy Ruiz a chance, and I get it. But he's fast. He has fast hands, but I don't know. I just think his style suits Anthony Joshua. I think his style, I think his height. And I don't see him beating Anthony Joshua. Again, I might be totally wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll come in and be like, you know what? I'll give Andy Ruiz Jr. all the props in the world. But I just don't think he is going to be able to do it. Again, I see this fight going no more than 8 rounds. And with Anthony Joshua's hands raised in the end. Anyway, guys, so I have to say thanks for watching. Oh, and you know what? I hope Deontay Wilder goes to Anthony Joshua's fight versus Andy Ruiz, because a lot of people are saying, Anthony Joshua should go to Deontay Wilder's fight. How about Deontay Wilder go to Anthony Joshua's fight against Andy Ruiz? It's happening in New York as well. Again, Wilder had his opportunity to go to Joshua's fight against Joseph Parker, and he refused to go. So, let's see what happens. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe as always. And I'm out, guys. Bye-bye.